Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I recently had the pleasure of being featured in Forbes magazine. I was interviewed about the pros and cons to intermittent fasting, my thoughts, helping people to bust some myths that they might have heard about it. So I wanted to share kind of two schools of thought today. So the first is I'm going to kind of address with you a lot of the questions that I got asked, when someone's writing an article, they're interviewing many dietitians or many health professionals or whatever have you. And so I said a lot, but only, there was like two sentences that were quoted and not my favorite ones, to be honest. So of all the things that I had, written back in regards to the interview, only a couple of pieces were taken. So I'm still very fortunate and glad to be featured in Forbes. It's a really big deal. I'm really proud of myself for having that feature and being recognized and getting the exposure and all of that. At the same time, everything that I said didn't really come across clearly, and it wasn't like just an article about specifically my thoughts, it was many people's thoughts. So I wanted to kind of share with you what is not in the article. I did link the article to the show notes, and I highly recommend going to read the whole thing if you're interested. But I kind of want to just go over with you kind of my thoughts about intermittent fasting. So the thing is, if you're doing it for health benefits, the science is really unclear of whether it actually makes you healthier or not. A lot of people might say they're doing it for health benefits, but really they're doing it for weight loss reasons. So whether you aren't doing it for weight loss reasons or not, the health benefits are really unclear. In regards to weight loss, it's really just a helpful tool or method to help you to stay in that calorie deficit. So there's really no difference between, losing weight and the results you'll see from that versus intermittent fasting can be utilized as a strategy. Now, before I go further, there's many types of intermittent fasting. There's, which this I really don't recommend, where you only eat for 2 days, you stay within like 500 calories. And then on the 5 other days, you go into like a more of a maintenance plan. So your deficit is really more extreme for 2 days out of the week. And then the rest of the days, it's like more of maintenance or like a slight calorie deficit. Listen, as I'm even talking about it, like for someone like me specifically who specializes in helping people who have a history of an eating disorder or struggle with disordered eating habits and has done every diet in the book, like just saying that out loud really sounds like another diet. And it's really just ignoring your hunger cues, which I don't agree with. And it's really, really just not something that I think that is really necessary for many people. Now, for some of you, you might be doing it for religious reasons, and that's a different story. Everybody does something for different reasons. And I think the most important thing is that you understand the why behind it. Okay. And be mindful that it's not a diet. It really is just like anything. Anything you do temporarily will only produce temporary results. So just like if you did a crazy diet or a detox or a cleanse, you might see results, but the second you stop doing it, you're going to stop seeing those results. The weight's going to come back on. And intermittent fasting can provide, it could be similar. It can mask that as well. Now, if you're doing it as a lifestyle change and maybe your intermittent fasting hours, the hours that you consume food compared to the hours that you don't, maybe it's not as extreme as that 5-2 phase, which is pretty extreme. Maybe it's just like an overnight thing. Maybe you just give yourself, 12 hours at night, you have a cutoff time at night and then you go to sleep. So a lot of times you're sleeping for about 8 hours a night. And then you wait and you hold off like a couple hours in the morning before you eat something. So anywhere from like 12 hours to 16 hours. That is a little bit more I don't like to put rules on things. I don't think you necessarily have to say I don't eat after 8, but if you're mindful that it's 8 o'clock at night and you're slightly hungry, but you also are going to go to bed soon and you feel like you ate enough enough during the day and you can just go to bed and you sleep better and you probably will digest your food better, then that's okay, right? So if you have a lot of gut issues, constantly eating can sometimes aggravate your gut. So if you're struggling with some bloating or, diarrhea, especially, like something maybe you need to like give yourself a little bit of break. So, spreading out your meals and not eating, every 2 to 3 hours might be something that's beneficial to you. But the point is that, intermittent fasting really is more of an eating strategy and not something that I think really should be like, you do this and you don't do that. For some of you that might work. And then the question becomes is like, does it work because you're struggling with getting out of the all or nothing mindset? Or does it work for you just because it's just something that, it creates some boundaries, it creates some structure. I definitely have emailed a few of you back and forth, and some of you find it to be helpful and beneficial. So I never want to rob someone of the experience of experimenting and trying. I think it really comes down to why are you doing it, and can you see yourself following this for a while? Right? Think about everyone also too. Everyone's social life and social situations are so different. The world's starting to open up back up. Maybe you do go out to eat more and you go out later. And so then having a cutoff time at 8:00 isn't realistic to you. Maybe your work schedule is, that you don't get off till work until 8, so you can't eat until 9. I know I personally, sometimes if I'm doing coaching or doing like a workshop or a virtual training, sometimes my day's not done until after 8:00. And I'm not going to not eat dinner because I feel better when I eat 3 balanced meals a day. So, this really comes down to you. I will say, be careful about, who you talk to this about and around, like who's doing it with you, or if people around you are doing it. Don't just do it because somebody else is doing it. Really get clear. There's really no specific benefits to it helping your metabolism. There's no specific benefits of like, that it helps with weight loss. It really only helps with weight loss if you are eating less calories than your body burns, during that window that you actually are eating, just like any other weight loss plan. It really just comes from eating less. And unfortunately, some people take that to the extreme and then it ends up coming back in your face, right? So I just think that it's really important for you to understand kind of why you're doing it. Maybe in the future it'll change the reasons, there's more science to support it. But right now, it's not this miracle thing. Okay. So although maybe it's helped you to kind of be able to say no after a certain time, that's helpful. But I think either way, especially if you have a history of disordered eating, I know even as I was, this is the second school of thought that I really wanted to share with you. Even as a registered dietitian with years of experience, way past my disordered eating, I got a little triggered. I'm not going to lie. I started to explore the idea of intermittent fasting when in the past I have tried it. And it really, to be honest, you'll read about it in my book, chapter 5 of my book, which is coming out so soon. I'm so excited. But it really started to becoming obsessive for me. And I have obsessive tendencies. So I know myself well enough to know that this isn't something that I can do because it just isn't for me. Right. But if you can genuinely say that I know someone who it has really worked for her, but she's also just on the understanding that like it's not that means that she should tell everybody to do it and she shout it from the rooftops. It's like, no, that worked for her, but she's a rare case. So like I said, everyone is different and I don't want to, tell you not to try it if you are curious about it. But I would say that if you're interested in trying it, it's always best to do under the care of a registered dietitian. Out of all the people that I've coached over the many years, I'd say maybe 2 out of the thousands have been successful. And I actually completely supported their idea to do intermittent fasting in the way in which they tried it. So I think it's just super important to know why you're doing it and have the support and working with a nutrition professional to do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, to seeing if it works for you, or if maybe it doesn't work for you and you want to find balance in your eating habits and really just figure out what does work for you, then we are here to help you. So I encourage you to go to www.tipswithtony.com/coaching to apply to work with us. When you go to the website, you're going to see a video about the program. Watch that video, fill out the application below it. Once you fill out the application, message me on Instagram at tips_with_Tony with an I, and let me celebrate you We have been having technological issues, so I also want to make sure that the application actually went through. I apologize in advance. We're in the process of actually redoing the entire website because I'm actually not taking on the one-to-one clients anymore, although I oversee the whole process. By you going to apply, we'll hop on a discovery call and I'll see which dietitian I feel like you're better suited for. So we have the amazing Mary Rose and the amazing Casey. They're both incredible at what they do. I just want to make sure you are suited, you're partnered with the person that you're going to vibe with the most. It really comes down to energy, accountability, and support, which you'll get definitely a good amount of all of that when paired with the right person. So that is it for me today. I hope that you found this helpful. Don't forget to check out the article. It's in the show notes. And if you're interested in figuring out what works best for you, go to www.tipswithtony.com/coaching. All right. Thanks so much. As always, this is Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.